I've got this ammo here. I know I'm going to be getting more. I'm going to need a place to store it. Hey, what's this? Oh, that's going to work just great. Hey friends, welcome back to another fun Fallout inspired tutorial. Today we're going to design some stencils to make ourselves a Vault-Tec inspired ammo bin. Now this is a legit welded, basically airtight ammo bin that I found on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below to where you can order this. And we're going to use Adobe Illustrator and a vinyl cutter to make our stencils, and then we're going to spray paint the stencils on our ammo bin after we mask everything, and then we'll end up with something like this. Now these are great for storage. You could even just sit this on your shelf, and if you're a Second Amendment advocate, hey, I bet showing up to the range with something like this, and anybody who is familiar with Fallout will definitely be asking you some questions. So let's dive into it. All right, here we are in Adobe Illustrator. Now you don't have to use Illustrator to create the artwork that we're going to use for our vinyl cutter. However, you're going to want to use a tool that is what's called vector-based. Photoshop, for example, is a raster-based software that is all based on pixel information. And as you zoom in on an image, you can see the pixels, right? Like if you've ever done that in any sort of looking at a photo, they are all they're resolution-based. And vector-based software is resolution independent, meaning it has no concept of resolution and doesn't care because it's a mathematically based artwork, which is great because you can scale it up to any size, and that's what you want to use for vinyl cutters. So that's why I'm using Adobe Illustrator. You could use Figma. I think Inkscape supports vector-based art creation, and I'm sure a quick Google search will also uncover many other tools. So all I did here is I came into Illustrator and I hit Command N or File New, and I'm going to make this in inches, and I want it to be landscape, and all the other stuff I don't really care about. Okay, so here's our canvas right now, and Illustrator supports artboards, and I'm going to create a couple different artboards for the different sizes of the bits of artwork that we're going to be working with. This panel that I'm grabbing right here is just one of the ones that I use a lot, so I'm going to bring it over to my side here and dock it. Okay, so if I click on this artboard icon here on the right, I could call this front. And this is going to be where the main Vault-Tec artwork is going to be, and I've measured the ammo can to get some dimensions here, and we want this to be about 10 by the height, which is 7 1/4. Okay, so there's one artboard. We're going to create another one. I'm going to go down here and hit plus, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the name here. We can call this, let's call this side. So this could be like our left and right, side. Left and right side, and the height is going to stay, but the width of the left and right side is about 3.5. One more artboard for the top. We're going to go up here. We're going to call this top. The width is going to be 10 again, and the height of the top is 3.5. Okay, so here is our various artboards, and what we're going to do here is we're going to start with the left and the right side, which we want that Vault-Tec kind of, it's like a bullseye with lines coming out of it. And I've actually already created this artwork for a previous project, and don't worry, I'm going to give y'all the files here as well so that you can grab this stuff. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab my existing artwork and I'm going to bring it over, and we can then utilize it inside of this file. So I'm going to move the Vault-Tec logo out of the way, And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit Command R, and that's going to bring up my rulers. And my rulers allow me to bring out guides so that I can, further align elements. And because these are stencils, they're going to need to be basically negatives, if you will. So what I need to do is I need to create a big rectangle here. And then I'm going to put our other bit of artwork on top of it. And let me just change the color here just for the sake of visual. And I'm going to use something to move this rectangle to the back. Command Shift left bracket, or Control Shift left bracket if you're on a Windows machine. And we're going to scale this up. I'm holding Shift and Option to scale proportionally. And we want it about that size. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to punch this out of the blue. That is where the Pathfinder tool in Illustrator comes in, and other tools that some of y'all might be using. They might not call this Pathfinder. Actually, they probably don't. They might call this like Boolean operations or union or separation or something. So where my cursor is here, you can see minus. Specifically minus front. So if I have my yellow piece in front and the blue in the back, and I shift click both and I hit that button, bingo, now you can see we have punched a hole. Perfect. So this is what we're going to use for our left and our right. Okay, let's do the top next. And the top, we're going to create another rectangle here. I'm going to draw it out, and I can just use my eyedropper, hit the I key to jump to the eyedropper, V key back to the selection key. And I'm going to draw a guide. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to draw a guide out and try and get it in the middle. And sometimes, man, I wish Illustrator would get better at this. Like I'm trying to just get it to snap to the middle. There we go. Okay. It was me. So there's our middle. Okay, so the top of this ammo can has a weld on the left and the right that is right about like, it's like 3/4 of an inch wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create myself a temporary rectangle here. And what I can do is if I select it, and let me make it red, I can go up into the transform and you can see the width here. And we want this width to be, it's basically like 0.75 inches. And I'm going to snap that to the end, and I'm going to snap it to the other end. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of size my blue rectangle, and it will snap to the edges of our little red bits, and I can delete that so that now I've got kind of an more accurate size here for the stencil piece. Then what I'm going to do is the handle runs kind of down the middle here, and I've already done some measurements, and basically the amount of room that we have to work with without kind of colliding with the handle is like right around like 1.5 inches. So I'm going to move it down here to around 1.5. And now I'm going to move my Vault-Tec icon. All I did was just cut and paste so I can get it back in the middle here. And we're just going to kind of place it right around there. And now to be fair here, let me make sure that it's centered. Let me see if I can find the center again. I don't even know how I did that a moment ago. Let's draw it out. Center. Where's the center here? Center of our rectangle. Huh. Okay, there. If I select the rectangle, now I draw out my guide. There it is. Okay, there's the center. And I want to select our Vault-Tec. I want to make sure that it's in the center. Okay. Thank you very much. There we go. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, that looks good. And these stencils, we're going to use masking tape as well to mask the box. So this is going to work just fine. And one more. Again, we're going to use our Boolean operation. We're going to punch a hole. So there we go. And over in Cricut, we're obviously going to have 2 of these, but we only need to design 1. And then the ends. So this is the left and right side. I want to have 111 on one end for Vault 111, and I'm going to use a font here that I have found that is works great for Fallout inspired stuffs because it is based on the Fallout typography, and it's called Overseer. All right. Now, in order for our text to behave like artwork so that we can do our Boolean or our Pathfinder operations, this needs to be flattened, if you will. And a way to do that is you go up to Object and you go to, there's a couple ways to do this. I think there's a way to go to like text, create outlines, or you can just go expand, and expand does the same thing. This is now artwork. Perfect. All right, let's create a rectangle. We're going to do this again. We're just going to create a rectangle here. Let's use our blue, Command Shift left bracket to move it to the back. And one more time, we are going to go use our Boolean operation. Great. Okay, there's our 1, 1, 1. I'm just going to move this up. Okay, and then the one other thing that I wanted, and you probably saw in the intro, was that I have a radioactive and a caution sign on the end as well. And what I did was I used a great website called the Noun Project that has SVGs on it that are contributed by creators. So if I type in radiation, you'll see we've got a bunch of awesome SVGs here. And you have to create an account, but an account is free. And then as long as you're using them for personal use, you can download the SVGs for free. But if you are selling anything that retains any of the SVGs you've downloaded, please pay the creators for their artwork. All right, so I will show you the one that I had created using that tool. And here it is. So basically, I just downloaded both of those and kind of sized them appropriately. And there we have it. Okay. Last, let's go ahead and export these, and then we'll jump into Cricut. This is where having the artboards is kind of advantageous. So if I just do Command Shift S and I go save this out to my desktop, make sure I've got SVG, and I call this side. Yep. If I hit spacebar to preview it, there we go. It exported just the side. So I'm just going to repeat that for these other artboards, and then we will go assemble this in Cricut Studio because I'm going to be using a Cricut vinyl cutter. Here we are inside of Cricut Design Space. I'm not going to do a full tutorial on Cricut. There's a bunch of good ones out there. And also, you might not be using a Cricut. You might have some other vinyl cutter. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go New Project. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to say Upload. And we're going to go Upload Image. I'm going to Browse. And I'm going to go to my desktop because that's where I save them. So we got the 111, the Vault-Tec logo. And I got to do it one at a time. So we'll go Continue and Upload. And this is what I was afraid of. Okay, it's good that this happened, but you can see because of how I exported it from Illustrator, it brought along some other bits of artwork with it. And so I had to, I just deleted those, which is not a huge deal. And let's grab another upload image, browse, Vault-Tec logo, continue, let's see, upload, and the same thing. I'm gonna delete that. Okay, there we go. And it looks like, we'll measure it in a sec, but it looks like it did bring it over at the correct size. We're gonna upload image, browse, side art. Okay, we'll delete that. And one more, let's go upload image, browse, and these are our warning and error symbols. And you might notice that the 111 is not actually a stencil. It was created incorrectly. So I'm going to go fix that. All right. We fixed our 111. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just hit make real quick so that I can see what it looks like. We're going to use on a mat, and I have a 12 by 12 mat. Okay, so because this is something that's interesting with Cricut, it's like breaking out all of the pieces of the SVG, and that's not what we want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to select all of them in the right hand side, right click and say attach. And now if we go back to make, it's going to create one big group out of them, and that's exactly what we want. So I'm probably going to have to make 2 cuts here to make this work, or I do have a larger, let's go cancel, a larger mat that I could use. So I'm going to undo that. Let's rotate this. I'm going to try and arrange these so that maybe I can get them to fit on the smaller mat. Okay, let's try this again. Right click, attach, and I just realized, I'm sorry, this is getting cut off. Let's go make. Okay, there. So I would just have to print this 2 times. Awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move forward on printing this out on the Cricut. As you can see here, I decided to use my larger mat so that I could fit all of the cuts onto a single mat. Now comes part of the tedious process, but this can be a little meditative. We're going to start weeding the parts and pieces of the vinyl that we don't need. So I have a weeding tool in my hand, and this is a little pick that makes it really easy to start selecting and removing the bits and pieces of the vinyl that you're not going to use. As I said, this can be a little time consuming, but I would recommend just turning on some cool music and just going through it. The next step in the process is to use some transfer tape to apply to the vinyl so that we can transfer it to our ammo can. And if you've never used a vinyl cutter before and haven't gone through this process, it can be a little confusing at first, but basically what this will do is it's going to transfer the vinyl to this clear material, and then allows us to remove the backing so that we're exposing the adhesive, and then we can place it onto the object that we want the vinyl to adhere to. Now the fun part starts to begin, where we get to apply our stencils to the ammo box. All I'm doing here is I'm going to eyeball and kind of use my fingers to press down one edge of the stencil and then slowly try and roll it up while pushing out any air bubbles. If you do get air bubbles, it's not a problem. You can either just slightly lift up the template and rub it a little more, or you can kind of just leave them. It's not really a huge deal because we're just going to be spray painting over this. What can help is using a rubbing tool or a burnishing tool like I have in my hand here to get some additional adhesion. we're going to start adding some masking tape to ensure that we fully uncover all of the remaining exposed areas of the ammo can. I'm going to be using some rattle can spray paint, and with most spray paint it will find its way into even the smallest crevices, and because I'm going to be spraying with a yellow which is very bright, I want to make sure that I do a really thorough job of covering the entire ammo can to make sure that we don't get any paint bleed. Here I'm going to apply about 2 to 3 coats of Golden Sunset Rust-Oleum yellow spray paint. Make sure that you do this in a ventilated area. I've got a respirator on, and I also have my poor man's box fan here on the left that I've also duct taped an AC HVAC filter to. Well, unfortunately my camera died and I have this poor angle and no sound to show the best part, which is the removal of our masks. This is where all of the time taken to create the stencils and all of the additional masking we did really pays off, and we get to see the fruits of our labor. Really happy with how this came out. It was a lot of fun to make. If this video was helpful, exciting, or entertaining to you, please consider liking and subscribing, as it will really help me continue to make these fun videos.